Alright guys, so let's get this started. It's me, Rival Gaz, aka Gary Lee, aka Real Gaz, speaking largely here. Streaming on Kick, I'm doing this live. We do this every Friday. No supervisors with us here today. Oh, where there's a spirit of competition, you know you're going to find some of the British. And I came across this site and I've just been trying to find a little bit about what it is that they teach here. Right, and I found it very interesting, so I'm gonna like go through on this. But what does this have to do with like my PhD in gaming? Well, it's interesting that that question gets raised because ordinarily when you do a PhD, let's just say if you were going to do a PhD in medicine, you would do your 12 years of education in an Australian sense, like up to year 12, then you'd be trying to get into like med school, you know, and then you do your undergrad focusing on that medicinal science, then you'd do your graduate, and then you would do your whatever specialization comes next in industry requirement and so on, right? And I'm sure it's very different in America too, and in Britain. But all I'm getting at is that, like, by the time you reach the top of the field, and in Australia we'd call that like AQF 10, right? Australian Qualification Framework Level 10, so that's the highest level you can get. You would have done a lower degree or training in it. And for me, it's like my background is still in the arts, but it's in a different area. So when I found that they were doing the sort of prerequisite courses towards a PhD in the UK, it made me excited because I could just go through and see, as a lecturer and educator myself nowadays, I could see what it is that they're teaching and what their curriculum is, and make sure if I have any deficiencies in my knowledge areas and domains that I would be able to remedy them. I'm going to talk about that in a second. But in lieu of having everybody locked in and ready to roll, I figured let's just do this University of California thing, this MOOC, and short course or whatever you want to call it, and just cruise through that while doing our hell dives, right? And it's been good. So this is what I've been largely doing, and we've done 3 assignments so far. The assignment questions have all been like decent and enjoyable to do. So if we go over to our week 7 show notes, right? Let's talk about what we did last week. Last week was a really challenging week because it just was. People weren't doing what I wanted, and I grew unhappy with the situation, and rightfully so. I feel that's just standard, you know. Anyway, I had an epiphany about it, and I want to say it now. I've said this on the stream, but I'll just say it here for posterity. So often, you know, you get big dreams and goals, and you know you're capable of achieving them, so you go out and you strive to achieve them. And sometimes it doesn't work out, right? Sometimes it doesn't work out, but it doesn't work out not because of anything you've done, but just because of things that other people have done. Sometimes they're moving against you. Sometimes people just don't realize the consequences of their actions, and then it has a negative impact on you, and then you get a inferior result to what you were hoping for. Now, when that happens, if you're the type of person to take extreme ownership or take responsibility for the situation or whatever, then you know you got to live with that, and sometimes you can be your own harshest critic on that front. But it's worth reminding yourself that just as you will take all the winnings when you win and you get what you want according to your plan and strategy, right? You can argue, well, if you're going to take that side of it, you know, you got to take the good with the bad. But I just want to remind some of you that sometimes you get torpedoed and it's just absolutely not your fault. And you can be stricter on yourself as a consequence of that unnecessarily. And then you suffer for it, right? And then you're the one impacting yourself negatively when it was no one else is doing other than someone else. And then you're kind of just continuing that just because of the strictness and the standard that you hold yourself to. So sometimes you got to just be kind to yourself, right? So I feel like all the setbacks that I've experienced aren't really my fault. They're the doings of others, and I've been hurting myself because of them, and I shouldn't have been doing that. What I should have been doing is basically saying something along the lines of, that wasn't my choice. I didn't choose that. Someone else chose that outcome. They should feel bad. I should feel great because I didn't choose that outcome. It's the outcome that I got, but I'm working towards getting the outcome that I wanted. And therefore, I feel great because it's not over yet. Right? So enter week 7, and that's this time now. And so what did we do on the PhD front? We actually sent off a proposal, which was good. We got more theories and started UC Esports cert, right, which is great. On the gaming front, we're still decent at Helldivers, right? So still doing 9s, but having fun, right? So the having fun thing is interesting. So we spoke about this model before about the lots of fun, lots of play versus lots of work, high skill model, right? Which is, it's not imperfect, and it is separate from enjoyment. But, you know, I realized that when I was playing Helldivers, I would be trying to get into a quick match or what's called an SOS response. And basically, the way the game works is a team or a player goes in and says, I'm going to do these levels. And if something doesn't quite work out, they can request support, send an SOS. And I like to respond to those calls because it's usually the most expedient way of getting into a match. And, you know, it can be good, it can be bad, it can be all sorts. You don't know what you're really going to arrive into. And it's an interesting way to play the game. But I observed myself receiving SOS response opportunities for things that were below level 9, so Helldives, like level 4s and sometimes even level 1s. And I would just quit. Whereas earlier on, I wouldn't do that. I would just play. And that's when I realized that I was not playing as much as I was just no-lifing and focusing on trying to get good on level 9s on PlayStation. So playing with viewers for a little bit and responding to those lower SOS calls has been very positive for me in terms of I feel better. I feel better for it, right? And I know that seems like a little bit of confirmation bias for your own theory, but I noticed a difference. Okay, then we played, what games did we play last week? Dragon's Dogma 1 and 2, tried Tekken 2. Yeah, we beat T2 with King, which was awesome, right? But I did have to do a little bit of save file abuse. Now that sounds really bad if you're not into video games, but basically what that means is that you can save at a particular point, and then if you die, you can go back to that point rather than having to start all the way again. And I felt I had to do that because the final fights were just extremely punishing, and I had no idea how you could win back to back. It always just felt like a lucky dip, right? But that said, though, the AI wasn't like that incredible. I feel like I just needed more and more exposure. Yeah, but I just wanted to really get that win, and I felt like just the tool is there. I'll just use it to explore. It's an old game. Let's just check it out, you know. And it was cool and it was worthwhile. I don't regret it, but I do acknowledge that I had to do that. And hats off to all the people who were able to beat Tekken without having to do that, you know. I'm still learning. Other games that we played, we got Xbox. Game Pass. Now, we had Xbox Game Pass and a Series X. That was kindly donated to the stream for a 2-year period. Thank you very much to Funk for that. But we got Game Pass again, just because there were so many other games that you can play, and I really wanted to check out cloud streaming, right? I think cloud streaming is going to be one of the futures of gaming, and I think it's going to be integral for countering cheating in esports. On the stream front, the stream on Kick has been interesting. Like, I'm not trying to grow, I'm not trying to be popular on Kick, right? I just stream on Kick for basically 3 reasons. Every time I say this, it's usually consistent, but the first is like viewers, and my regular viewers who just ride with me all day, except for at this very moment, right? For which no one is here, which is fine. That's good. That means that everyone is living their lives, and that makes me happy. No ads. It just works. The platform just works, you know, and there's no frills. And I really like that. Every time I think about Twitch, I think about its meta, I think about its requirements, I think about how businessy it is, and how there's all these communities and subcultures, and you never feel like you belong on that platform. Whereas like Kick, for all its flaws, is just like you can just kind of set up shop and do your own thing, and you get hassled sometimes, but it's the same on every streaming platform. So yeah, basically no ads, and you can just get to it. The second thing is the founders being Aussie. I think that's great, and you know, staff in Australia and all this stuff. I think that's great. And last but not least is the fact that there was that article that I cannot recall off the top of my head that suggested that players, depending on their streaming platform and their environment, play differently and behave differently. And I wanted to test that in myself, and I can confess that my behavior and play as a streamer and gamer has changed by being on Kick, being in a different environment. And in the sort of streaming ecosystem, you've got Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, Steam, all the other sites like Trovo and Mixer and Kick. And there's many more, right? There's many more. There's 2 or 3 that I know my regular viewers would tell me, hey, don't forget those restreaming sites and stuff, but they're all only very small outfits. And even I signed up to an Australian-based outfit that's supposed to be esports based, that was meant to be launching this year, but I haven't heard anything about it since. Sometimes these things just lose momentum. But, you know, basically from a anthropological kind of view, it's just interesting to be situated in different streaming environs, and that's what that's part of the reason why we're on Kick. So the stream is like, it's steady on Kick, which is good. And did we get new emotes? I'm fairly sure. Oh, we got Tones. I think Tones joined the Discord. We got a new Discord, and then let's just say new emotes, new members. And we'll just keep it like simple like that, right? We tidied up this to-do list. Finalize supervisory panel, update the Notion, confirm pathway to COC, commence work site esports training. We've done this, so we're doing that, right? So we're doing that. Now we got